there, thank you for joining me today. I'm Sandra at Articard. Today I've got this cute little project which was an inspiration from one of my Telford swaps. This was the Telford swap that I received. It pulls out, and this was created by a lovely lady called Louise Thomas of White Flag Designs. If you would like to pop over to her website, that's whiteflagdesigns.com. So that was inspired, and I thought what a lovely little idea that was. But I wanted to put some FERRERO ROCHER treats in my box, so as you can see I've had to scale it up a bit. But the principle and the idea is just the same. So this is my project today. You pull the little ribbon cord and there's the chocolates, and inside there's a little sentiment that I have put inside saying, "Sending a smile your way." So I've also made my own designer series paper, which I'm really excited about because I've never done it before, but I had an idea that if I stamped all over and did a bit of gold heat embossing, that it would look rather nice, and I'm really pleased with the way it's turned out. So this stamp set that I have used is called Love and Affection, and it comes from the new catalogue that is out from the 1st of June. Lots of exciting products in here. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to open the catalogue, but I can show you the front cover. But I am allowed to demonstrate some of my pre-order items that I got. So that's what I'm doing today. But if you would like one of these catalogues, if you send me send me a note, an email note with your name and address, I'd be very happy to send you a catalogue out in the post for free. So that's the catalogue, and back to our project. So let's get started on the project so I can show you how I made it. So I have used some chocolate chip cardstock and very vanilla, and this chocolate chip measures 9 by 6.5 inches, and the very vanilla measures 6 5/8 by 4 1/16, and it is scored. I have already scored this on my Stampin scoreboard at half an inch, 2 inches, 3 9/16, and 5 1/16. So that I've already scored, and we're going to stamp and heat emboss that in a moment. So put that to one side for the moment because we're going to make the base of the box, and I've reinforced the base of the box today because when you pull the ribbon cord out, you need the card to be quite strong there so that it doesn't damage the cardstock. So let's get our scoreboard. And 9 by 6.5, as I said, and we're scoring it on all 4 sides at 1 inch and 2.5 inches. So you just turn it round, score it 1 inch, 2.5 inches, and you just turn it round until you've done that on all 4 sides. Sorry, can you see what I'm doing there? 1 inch and 2.5 inches. So that's our scoring done on that. So let me get rid of the scoreboard. So now we need to burnish and fold and burnish our score lines. So now we need to get rid of, on all four corners, we need to get rid of all these corner pieces here. So you cut up to that second score line, and then we're cutting away these two end pieces. Same over here. And then we're just going to put a little notch either side so that our box folds up nice and neatly. And I actually forgot to mention, I'd like to say hello this morning to Sherry. I hope you're well, Sherry, and that you're enjoying this treat box. It's nice to hear from people who enjoy what I make, so it's good to hear that people like what you make and that they make it too. So the same on all four sides, where you cut up, take away the three corners, and then you notch it in. So we'll get rid of those bits. And I'm just going to notch these end bits in, because then when you fold them over on themselves, they go in nice and neatly. And the same on the ends too. So I don't know if you heard my doorbell go, but fortunately my husband's going to get it. No problem there. So I'm going to use my fast fuse. You can use your wet glue. I would normally, but as I'm want it to dry quickly today. But first of all, I've just remembered that we need to do our hole for our ribbon to go in. So I get my scissors and my ribbon. So I've used the 1/8 of an inch punch, and I have punched it more or less in the middle of the end there. So you put, I went in sideways and just about in the middle and punch a hole. And then we're going to thread our ribbon in. So you don't need very much, just enough to for a pull and to secure it on the inside. So I would say something like that would be enough. And just get my sellotape. So we thread the two ends through our hole. Let me just sharpen those up so that I can get it through. Like that. Now you can at this point secure a knot. I didn't, but you might feel that a knot is a good idea. I didn't do a knot because I didn't want it to be too lumpy on the inside when I tried to put the box together. So what I have done instead is I have just made sure that I have secured that down, that ribbon, with two lots of sticky tape to make sure that that doesn't move. And that looks pretty good to me. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. So now we can put our box together. Well, if we can, we can get the fast fuse to work. So we need fast fuse at the moment on all these 4 corners. And then we're going to need some wet glue on the outside edges, but we start off by the normal way you would do a box, to do the end corners first. Like that. And then we need to push these on the inside. So for that I am going to use my wet glue and hope that it dries quickly while you're watching. So a little bit of this wet glue on all 4 edges. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. Right. And then I've got my bone folder. So I'm pushing the end in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my bone folder and push it in to the edges to make sure that it sticks nice and firmly. And the same here, you just need to work it on with your bone folder. And this gives a nice, it gives a nice solid box when you've got that extra piece doubling over. It makes your box much stronger. Right, so that seems pretty good to me, and that's a nice firm box. And so in goes our Ferrero Rocher. Well, before I do that, perhaps I'll stamp my sentiment. So my sentiment comes from the same Love and Affection, and we're going to use Sending a Smile Your Way. Put that on our block. And I'm using soft suede for that. That's good. And then I've got my scalloped oval punch, and I'm just going to punch that out using that. And then a bit of fuse I'm putting on there to stick that just to the inside of my box so that it's visible. And then we put our chocolates in. And they fit just perfectly, nice and snugly. So now we're going to go on to the fun bit, which is making our own design series paper. So let me just clean my block off. it. So on the block I've prepped, on my block I've prepped this stamp, and that little one, and that there, flower there. So what I've done is I've just prepped it on the block in a random fashion. And we get our very vanilla piece of cardstock, and I'm going to use one of the new colours that's coming out from the 1st of June. It's called Flirty Flamingo, and that is what I'm going to use today. So there's not really any rhyme nor reason to this. I just started from one corner and randomly stamped all over, just to make a pretty pattern, really. And doing it like this means that you leave spaces where you can do your gold heat embossing. So you can turn your stamp round so that you don't get the same sort of image coming up all the time. So sort of like that is good. And so I left it like that much. I didn't overdo it on that first grouping. And now we're going to do the gold heat embossing. So I shall bring my Versamark in and my embossing buddy. And I'm going to bring it in some scrap, because I don't want to have glitter all over here, although I'm sure I will get it all over here, but we'll see how we go. So using my embossing buddy to just get off any grease or marks, I'll just run that over there. And then I have used this leaf pattern here. I think a smaller block would be better. I've used this leaf pattern here. You can use whichever you want to do your gold embossing, but you need to work fairly quickly and just stamp where you think it would look nice to have some embossing. And because you've got lots of spaces, you can just randomly stamp this all over. And then when I thought I'd had enough of that design, I changed it for another one on my block, and then quickly went over trying to see where I'd been, which you can see in the light. I know that you can't see it there, but I can definitely see it. That's it. So we're going to get the gold embossing powder. And we're going to just sprinkle that on, and you can already see that it's coming to life. More there. I think that's good. So I'm going to leave that in there and just give that a right. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat set this with my heat tool. So I shall be back in a moment with this set with my heat tool. I'm back again. I've heat embossed that, as you can see, and now what we need to do is, what I'm going to do is, these little flowers here have little middles to them, which the big flower here has that middle to it, and the little flower, open flower there, has this middle to it. So what we're going to do is, we're going to do a bit of gold heat embossing on the middles of those, because I think that's going to look good. So going over, you just line it up in the middle of the flower, like so. Two more to do. That's it. So more embossing powder on there. Off there. Yeah. And now I'm just going to put my heat tool on again to just set these, which won't take many minutes because my heat tool is warmed up now, and as you can see that's sorted that. So let's just get that out of the way. And that. So what I'm going to do now is, there's still a few spaces as you can see, so what I want to do is I want to fill that in with some little flowers. So I'm going to get this one here, this little flower here on my block, and I'm going to use the soft suede again, and I'm just going to dot that in between all my other flowers. So again, there's no design, you just do what you feel looks good really. And I just think that it looks so pretty. I really do. And you've made your own designer series paper for a fraction of the cost. I love it. And just think of the endless designs that you could create. Just trying to do it so that I've got an even amount of the soft suede colour throughout the design. You could add another colour of course if you wanted to, entirely up to you. So I think we're getting to the stage now where that's more or less good. Can't really see where I need to add too many more. Maybe just another one there. I think that's good. So we'll leave it at that. So now we get to the fun bit. So very, very carefully you need to fold your score lines, so I wouldn't use the bone folder too much on this because you don't want to damage your beautiful gold heat embossing. So just fold it up very carefully. Like that. And then you're going to put some fast fuse or wet glue, whichever is your choice, on that skinny 1/2 inch piece, and then I'm going to wrap it round, and I put my seam underneath. So you need to wrap it round your box, and what you need to do is you need to make sure that it's loose enough so that you can get it, slide your treat box off. I think that's good. And then you hold that and pull out. Good, eh? I'm impressed with that. I really am. That slides out beautifully. So we've want a little bit of decoration on the top now, and I thought that that would look good with my little butterflies. And if I've got the elegant butterfly punch here and the bitty butterfly punch, so I just punched out in the Flirty Flamingo cardstock and the chocolate chip cardstock. We're going to punch out a couple of butterflies. Oh, that's got holes in that. That's no good, is it? Punch it out properly. Right. So the butterfly, and then I've just used a bit of wet glue to stick them together. Like that, and a bit of wet glue underneath. Onto the box, like that. I'm just going to let that dry and then I'll pop it up. And then I've got my rhinestones, and I'm just going to cut a group of 3 off of there, and then we're going to stick that in the middle. So I think that's probably dry enough now, so we're going to pop up our little butterfly wings, like that. And I think that's really rather nice and really rather special. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial today. If you would like a catalogue, please drop me a line. And until the next time, it's bye for now.